Hey everybody, I'm Tommy Scoville. I'm the captain of the lifeboat. People, today is Ounce of Prevention Wednesday, where I talk to parents about how to raise drug-free kids. The most recent updated statistics, and I have misquoted this not because I was wrong, but because they continually update them based on information coming in from the 50 states. The most accurate statistic now is 93,000 people overdosed last year in the United States and died from drug overdoses. A few days ago, one of those was my friend. So today I am going to be talking to you about opiates. People, there are things that you need to talk to your kids about, and opiates right now are the king. Here is where we're at in terms of the problems as a parent. When a person goes in and gets teeth pulled, a person goes in and they have torn a muscle or they have broken a bone, they get a bottle of prescription pain medication. 9 out of 10 people, not making this up, that's not one of those statistics, this is the truth. 9 out of 10 people don't finish the prescription. They don't need to, right? They're not addicts, they're not trying to catch buzzes, they're using it as it is intended to be used. What do they do when they're done with it? They leave it in their medicine chest. Most kids who try opiates don't get them from a drug dealer. They get them from mom and dad's medicine chest, or they get it from a friend's mom and dad's medicine chest. People, if you do not take all of your medication, do not flush them down the toilet. It's really bad for the whole ecosystem. Take the medications that you have in your medicine chest today and get rid of them. Get them out of the house. The thought process of, well, if I hurt myself down the road, I'd like to have a few Lortabs. People, if you knew how many people have lost their children because of that mindset. If you get hurt, you'll just go see a doctor and get more of them. Get them out of the house. If you feel you have got to have them, then buy a safe at Home Depot and lock them in it with a 5-digit code. We're talking about life and death stuff. This isn't weed. Now, when you talk to your kids, you need to tell them that these pills can kill you. One of the things that you have to understand about opiates is that they are a respiratory depressant, right? So you're going to slow down your breathing. A real problem is that if you mix alcohol with any respiratory depressant, so usually like benzodiazepines, Valium, Xanax, Adderall, not Adderall, but Ativan, any of those tranquilizers, or you mix them with any of the opiate family, Loratab, Vicodin, Dilaudid, Oxycontin, Percocet, Percodan, any of these pills. When you mix them with alcohol, they say 1 + 1 = 3. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. So what this means, people, is if your kid takes a 5 milligram Loratab and then drinks a beer, for all intents and purposes, he took 3 Loratab. Very oftentimes, when kids try these drugs, they wouldn't do it if the threshold for bad decision-making wasn't already lowered, right? Or the threshold for good decision-making, depending on how you look at it. So they have 4 or 5 beers at a party, and someone says, you really ought to try these. These are great. Okay, so they take 2 pills. They've had 4 beers. They just took 8 Loratab, right? And what happens is you become so relaxed that these people literally fall asleep, and like a person with sleep apnea, that catching in the back of your throat where your windpipe just shuts off from a little bit of skin that gets caught back there. Anyone else goes, right? Well, that doesn't happen with people who are on too much opiates. They just suffocate. They just stop breathing. This is very dangerous, and it's something that you need to discuss with your kids. One of the other things that you need to talk to them about is that if you mix benzos, right? If you mix tranquilizers and you mix that in with opiates of any kind, the threshold for overdose is done. You are so close to killing yourself with the first round. One of the most popular cocktails for kids in America today is to mix those two things. Heath Ledger had mixed those. Philip Seymour Hoffman had mixed those. Prince had mixed those. People, it kills you. We're not messing around. This will kill you. So this is something that you need to discuss with your kids. As we've talked about before, not my kid, right? That is the mantra here. Grit your teeth when you say it. Not my kid does not mean, well, my kid would never do that. It means not my kid. I'm not letting that happen. Well, how is that going to take place? It's going to take place because you are going to talk to your children. This is a two-part series on opiates. This one is to explain to you why this is so important and to get a dialogue going right now with your kids. The second episode of this, I am going to give you an idea of what heroin looks like, because most kids who smoke heroin for the first time in this country think they're smoking opium. It is a way that people have, it's almost a marketing technique. If you say to a kid, you want to smoke some heroin, heroin is going to always have that stigma. It's the drug that can kill you. It's the drug that killed all those rock stars. But if they say, hey, you want to smoke some opium, it just does not sound like the same thing. And you may go, yeah, whatever. I'm not stupid, right? But I smoked a ton of heroin before I knew it was heroin. I was addicted to it before I knew it was heroin. That's a true story, people. I thought I was smoking opium until one day a guy came over and saw tin foil and said, what are you doing? I said, I've been smoking opium. He said, you're smoking opium? I said, yeah. He goes, on tin foil? I said, yeah. He goes, can I see some of the opium? And I mean, it's not funny now. I mean, it's funny now. It wasn't, the hindsight being 2020, I'm here and I'm sober. I can laugh about this. But I pulled out a bag of it and he said, Tommy, that's heroin. I said, no, it's not. He said, oh, trust me, it is. He said, when's the last time you went without it? I said, I don't know. A couple of weeks ago, 3-4 weeks. He said, you're addicted to it. Try and quit. It's that simple, people. And I'm going to give you an idea of what it looks like. More importantly, what I'm going to give you an idea of is the packaging that it comes in. Because it doesn't matter if you're buying tar heroin in just about any part of the United States of America, how it comes packaged is identical. Because, and I'll go over the history of this next week as well, but there is a very small town in Mexico where basically all of the people that had started the first trend, a bunch came over and changed how heroin is sold in the United States. When I was first an addict, you could only buy heroin usually from guys who were already addicts, and there was one or two guys who had a connection, and you would call, and hopefully they were at the house, and you went over to the house. That's dead. Now you call a dispatch, the phone rings, the guy picks it up and says, all right, what do you want? I got $70. Okay, go to the Burger King on 32nd Street, 15 minutes. You go to the Burger King and a car pulls in, you jump into the car, the guy gives it to you and it's gone. Most people that you call got 3 drivers and they're just doing it like a dispatch. And they are like Domino's Pizza, right? The product is like Coca-Cola. This is big business now and it is organized to beat hell. The reason that it's important to know this is your kid can get one of those numbers so easily you don't have any idea. Everyone in this country can get one of those numbers. Let me tell you just how unbelievable it is. I was at a methadone clinic, and this is a true story. I went in and I didn't have the money, and the woman said to me, "Well, we're going to have to put you on financial detox," which basically meant that they were going to cut back the methadone just enough where I wasn't going to go into "I'm going to kill you" kind of withdrawals, but miserable. Terrible weekend. And I said to him, I had a Rolex. I said, I'll give you my watch until Monday. I just didn't have the cash. I had pulled up in a Porsche. What was happening was I had been 2 years sober. I was in drug treatment with methadone and hadn't used heroin in a couple of years. And that day, the company I was running didn't make payroll. So I had to basically pawn almost everything I had, clear out 3 bank accounts, and I just forgot. And when I went to the clinic, they said, no, well, we need the money today. I said, I don't have it, and I can't even go pawn something. There's 15 minutes until it's the clinic closes. And she basically said, no, you're gone. I drove away from that clinic with my wife in the car, and I was cursing and hitting the steering wheel, and a guy pulled up next to me in a car and looked over at me and opened his mouth, and it was filled with teeny little balloons full of heroin, every different color under the rainbow. Right? He waved me over. I pulled into the parking lot, and he goes, here, dried him on his jeans, handed me probably 50 of them, right? And I said to him, if you wait until Monday, I can get you money. He goes, don't worry about it. That's on us. These people park down the street from methadone clinics. They have cards already written up, just little strips of paper with the number on it. And it'll say the name of the dispatch guy, call this number. And they'll say to you, give it to your friends. If you give this number to 2 friends and these guys buy continuously, I'll throw you 5 or 10 bags a week. People, it is so organized you have no idea, and I don't care what town you live in. I am from a very, very small town in Vermont, and when I was 20 years old, they had never had a heroin bust. ever. Not my town, the state. Now, people, if you watch Intervention, they'll show you the town I was born in, and they show you people that are strung out, because every one of these little cells that they call them that go out and sell this dope, they're just looking for a part of the country that no one's ever gone to before so that they can own the market. The markup is insane. People, heroin has made it into every single part of this country. If you're hearing my voice and you have kids, they can get heroin. I promise you. And in most cases, they can get it easier and quicker than they can get weed. I promise you. I promise you that's the truth. Next week, we're going to go over exactly what to look for with your child. In the meantime, you can have a conversation with them without knowing anything more than I've told you. Sit down and just ask this question. Do you know anybody in school that's doing heroin? Tell me the truth, because I'm worried about your life. I'm not here to bust your chops. I'm worried about your life. This is a substance that can kill you. Please understand what this stuff, and don't yell, don't do any of that. That approach never works. Go back and watch all of the other ounce of prevention videos that I've done, and it will give you an idea of exactly how you talk to your kids, right? All you want to do is get a dialogue where they will trust you enough where you guys can speak back and forth. If they say, yeah, my friend Tony did it, and you go, you're never allowed to talk to Tony again. As I've said in the past, you trained your child to never tell you the truth again. If you just say, boy, I'm really disappointed in Tony. I thought he was smarter than that. Here's why I'm worried about you. Kids respect their parents. They may act like they don't when they're teenagers. You're the only people on the planet that guaranteed they respect. You're the frontline soldiers on the war on drugs. People, please come back next week. Take a look at the packaging. Take a look at everything you need to know to tell if your kid is on any kind of opiates. In the interim, get into your medicine chest tonight and get rid of any medication that can act as a respiratory depressant. Benzodiazepines, Valium, Xanax, Ativan, any of those, get them out of there. Any pain medication. I don't care if, 2 years ago I had my molars out. If those pills are in your house, the risk that someone is going to die on them, and it doesn't have to be that bottle. All that bottle has to do is light the fuse that's going to end up killing someone. People, I would be willing to bet, and I can't tell you for sure, but I would be willing to bet that number 5's first exposure was out of a pill bottle, because that's how it's happening in this country, and she's dead. Her mom has said, if there's anything that this story can do to help other people, it would be the perfect legacy for my daughter. I'm going to bring her up, especially when we talk about opiates, because we don't want to lose another one, and we don't want it to be your kid. Please tune in next week. We're going to go over more important information. People, I would love to talk to you for an hour. No one will stick around that long. Next week, I will go over the rest of this. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This is the Ounce of Prevention. This is the most important stuff that we do, people. Affect the life of a kid. This is the most important stuff we do. Click on this. You can be on the boat. Click on this. These are some videos. I promise I will see you tomorrow morning. I love you, people. Let's fight the good fight. I'm Tommy.